Get off that plantation immediately. One thing about fantasy that just turns me off is that I have to turn my brain on. Hey, welcome back to my channel, and happy first day of Black History Month. It's not for y'all when you're seeing this, but it is for me. Today is February 1st, and I'm going to be doing a Black History reading vlog. I knew I wanted to do something for Black History Month, but I didn't know what. And this is actually my first Black History Month on YouTube. I'm going to be reading genres that I read. Like, I'm not reading genres out of my comfort zone. That's a different video. I'm going to be reading books by Black authors in different genres. First up is my horror pick. When the Reckoning Comes by Latanya McQueen. I am so excited to read this. This is one of the books that I said that I wanted to read in 2024. About a decade ago, Mira fled from her hometown of Kipson, which was segregated in the South. She wanted to distance herself from something that happened with her and her two friends, I think in like the woods or the forest, I don't know. Something happened, and she has a friend named Celine. Now, Celine is a white girl, which is important, and Jesse is a black boy. She liked Jesse at the time. I'm only saying that because I think that's gonna play a part in here. And he was apparently almost arrested for murder for something that happened again. And it scared them all. And Mira, especially, just fled. So it's been 10 years. She's a teacher somewhere else. And she gets a call from Celine out of nowhere and is like, girl, I'm getting married. I need you to come back. Mind you, they haven't spoken or seen each other in 10 years. And this girl's like, I'm getting married. I want you to come back. Girl, I don't know you like that no more. First of all, you had to search for my number. Why are you calling me? So she's going to end up going, because I haven't gotten there, but I know that she goes, and Jesse goes too. So it's kind of like this reunion. However, the wedding is being held on a plantation. A white woman is having a wedding on a plantation where there were slaves who were killed. They didn't die, they were killed, right? And things are gonna happen, and they're apparently gonna have to come to terms with their history as friends for whatever happened. The history of the plantation. The slaves coming after y'all butts, because what are y'all doing over there? Get off that plantation immediately. I am on page 25, chapter 2. It's not that long. It's 237 pages. Could I finish it today? Sure, if I prioritize it. However, it starts off with kind of like a prologue. It doesn't say anything, but it's a couple of pages and it's italicized. And when I tell you, it gave me chills. I read it this morning before going into work. It gave me chills. It's describing the slaves. Now, I don't know if this is like them, and I don't know, like, because it doesn't say anything. It's just text. So it's like, is this before the events that we're about to read? Is it in the future? I have no idea. It's just so descriptive and eerie and cold. I'll just read a couple of parts. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's like it's 3 pages. They are coming in life. Heavy was the crown of chains meant to keep their bodies down, but their spirits soon will rise. They are coming with their shackles, wearing them like armor, fuel that reminds them of their purpose. They bring the chains made from wrought iron, used across the wrists and ankles as they were stolen onto ships. They bring the... Sorry. Give me a second. Not me cry. Oh my God, don't look at me. Don't look. They bring the... I can't even read it. I didn't read it out loud this morning. I read it in my head. They bring the iron collar placed on as punishment. It's for it. Oh, it's just so descriptive. I can't even read it out loud. It's the truth, right? It's fiction, but it's not. You know what I mean? Like, this could easily, like, if somebody were to come back from the dead, they could tell us this entire story right here. You know, what I'm reading. I'm rambling. I'm excited to continue into it because I want to know what went on in the past. What scared Mira so much that she fled? And it's been 10 years. And please, get that white woman off that plantation with the wedding. When the Reckoning Comes. I'm gonna start off by saying I actually got a little ahead of myself. At some point when I reached the halfway mark, I ended up going on Goodreads and updating my little thing to saying that I don't know what I was waiting on, but it was boring. And then right after I logged off and continued reading, it started to pick up. I misinterpreted what the book was about. It's not that the synopsis didn't match, I misinterpreted the synopsis. So if you read it, you have to pay close attention. When I saw that this was about a wedding on a plantation, I'm thinking white woman, plantation, and death. And it's not really about, and these slaves coming alive, you know, as ghosts and killing people. Yes and no. The biggest thing to keep in mind, and that's kind of all I want to say because I don't want to spoil anything, is that Mira or Myra is the main character, right? Her white friend Celine isn't the main character like that, because at the very end of the synopsis it says, as the weekend unfolds, Mira, Jesse, and Celine are forced to acknowledge their history together and to save themselves from what's to come. That last sentence right there is the key to what I should have expected. It was good. I'm gonna give it a 4.25. I did enjoy it once I realized what was going on. The other thing, I did notice that people were talking about the end of the book. Personally, I didn't have that much of an issue with it because I think it made sense. It was realistic, and I think had it had gone the way that people wanted it to, it wouldn't go with the message of the book. Not really the message of the book, but our main character Mira ends up making connection. Something ends up happening at the end and she makes this connection, and I'm like, as I finished it, after I finished it, I'm like, that kind of goes hand in hand. Like, I can see the vision. Next, I am jumping into romance, and I've actually already started it. I am reading Hold Me While I Wait. Hold Me While You Wait by Kimberly Brown. Get into the cover. The cover is so pretty. I will read anything Kimberly Brown writes, and this is her newest release, which is crazy because I don't know if I should have read this now. I'm into it, but I didn't realize this was gonna be like an emotional romance. I thought it was just gonna be vibes. I actually did see some reviews where they said, you know, you might cry a little bit, you might tear up. So I'm a little nervous because I've kind of been reading heavier things, and I haven't actually read a romance in a while, so I kind of wanted something that wasn't as emotionally draining, but I don't think it's going to be that draining. I'm about 20% of the way through. We have Samaya and Xander. At the beginning of the book, we meet Samaya, and Samaya is married. She has a son. Her sister and her brother-in-law, so her sister's husband, dies in a car accident, leaving her niece, Jaslyn, with no one. She takes her in. That's key, because at some point her husband ends up saying, you know, we need to talk. I think that Jaslyn should go live with the grandparents, so the brother-in-law's parents. And she's like, no, because she and her sister grew up in foster care. Her husband basically says it's her or your husband and your son. Like, that makes no sense because they're family regardless. So it's like he's making her choose between family or family. Fast forward 2 years later and she's divorced. She divorced his butt. Well, at the end of that section, we knew that she was gonna leave him, and he's out of the picture. He's out of the house. Everyone's 2 years older, and Jaslyn and her son EJ are about to start school. EJ is starting kindergarten, I believe, and Jaslyn is going into maybe 8th grade. She was about 12. Then we have Xander, a single parent as well. His girlfriend at the time, like years ago, got pregnant, and she actually didn't want to keep the baby. He's like, no, like just do this and you can leave. Just have the baby and you can go. And she left. He has not seen her since, and his daughter is now 12-ish. So it's been like 12 years. His daughter and him have, oh, what is it? Not vertigo. Vertigo? I forgot the word, but the skin condition where there's some parts that's like white. So she gets made fun of. she ends up going to this new school, which is the same school that Jaslyn goes to. And Jaslyn sticks up for her against some bullies, so they become best friends. And on the first day of school, Samaya and Xander end up meeting. And there's some kind of a connection there. But, you know, they go their separate ways, but they end up, you know, getting together. Here's the kicker. At the end, and that's kind of where I am, they're kind of just talking, they're chatting, their daughters are getting closer. The emotional aspect of it, Samaya's ex-husband is gonna try and push his way into the picture. You can tell he's gonna be a problem. Apparently, the baby mama of Xander is gonna come back into the picture. Personally, I'm not that worried because I didn't realize that they literally haven't seen each other in 12 years. So I'm not that worried of them rekindling anything. You never know. Back again with another car video. I was able to finish Hold Me While You Wait yesterday. I read it all in one day. It's a 4.5. I almost wanted to give it a 5, but no, I'm gonna give it a 4.5, round it to a 5. Again, I'm becoming a little pickier with my 5 stars now. It was so good. I have a couple of critiques, but the one that I noticed at the beginning, it's just very detailed. It comes off as, for example, my alarm woke me up at 5 a.m. this morning. I got up, put both feet in my slippers, walked the 5 steps to the bathroom. You know, it's very detailed in that way that I noticed at the beginning. At some point, I guess I just got used to it. It's like, I don't remember her other books being like that. But again, I'm just noticing it now, I guess. The other thing, so I said that in the synopsis it tells you, you know, the baby mama gonna come back, the ex-husband problems. And I said that I wasn't worried about the baby mama coming back. I liked her. Now, the other critique has to do with the ex-relationship of the baby mama. What's her name? I hate to call her baby mama. Mona. Her name was Mona. Mona and Xander. I will say, you know, you find out the situation that happened between them with her being pregnant with, not Jaslyn, with Deanna, who is Xander's, their kid that they had together. And I don't know, I felt for both of them. I enjoyed seeing how it fixed itself, but honestly, I enjoyed seeing how everything fixed itself. Mona, Xander, Samaya, her ex-husband, Elliot, was a trip, y'all. The issue was Elliot. Elliot got on my nerves so bad, y'all. I absolutely love the cover even more. There's just something about it after reading it. The love, and this could be my Delulu mind, but the love to me translates so well. Romance is done, and what was the first one? Horror. Next up, I have 3 more genres that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing young adult, fantasy, and thriller. Hey guys, so I've started the next book. I don't know which one this is in here. This might be the 3rd one. So this is So Let Them Burn, which is a new fantasy release by Camilla Cole. This is about a girl named Farron who, her and her sister and, you know, some other people kind of participated in, I say participated, but was at the front lines of this war. There's this Langlish empire that was trying to basically colonize their island that they were living on. And this is based on like Jamaican mythology or something, because the author is Jamaican American. And this is 5 years later. They've liberated from that empire. Farron is now 17. I think her sister's a year older, named Alara. They are going to this summit because apparently the queen of the island, or whatever her name is, Aveline, I think, is going to be meeting with the person in charge of that other empire, the Langlish empire that started this war. And he's white, basically. So their empire, I think, is like the white people in there, but the colony or the island that our main characters live on, it's a mainly, I think, like black island. And so the people there are not happy about it. They're supposed to be meeting up, I guess, to make this kind of truce or something. However, while they're there, Farron's sister Alara ends up forming a bond with the other empire's dragon, one of the dragons, and that person that rides on that dragon, because she was actually missing like a co-pilot a co-writer. And now Alara has to go to that empire and do something. I don't know what she got to do. However, Farron is not happy about this. No one is. So Farron is trying to figure out how to save her sister. She ends up finding out that the only thing that she can do is kill her. Like, whatever she does, since she's now connected to the dragon, nothing will work besides death. And by killing the dragon or whoever, it kills their riders as well. I am actually almost halfway through with it. I'm on page 169. I was actually supposed to be buddy reading this. I still haven't texted her. I don't know if she's watching this video. I still haven't texted her, but I'm not really good with buddy reading, if I'm being honest. I'm in part 2. I'm enjoying it so far. I was a little worried at first because I was confused, and I've actually been on a fantasy high right now because after reading Blood Debts, I really enjoyed it. But I have a feeling that Blood Debts, even though I call it a fantasy, and even though it's promoted as such, I don't think it's as much of a fantasy as like other ones, because the only thing that was fantasy about it was the magic, but the main plot was a mystery plot. This is very much fantasy, and I don't know, it was just hard to get into at first because I was confused, but I stuck with it and it kind of cleared up as I kept reading. The first part of this is basically just the synopsis. It's setting up what you already know. And now in the second part, Alara is now at the other empire's place, and Farron is trying to figure out how to save her sister. I knew going into this that this was sapphic. However, I was under the impression that Farron was our only like main character and it was going to be her. I don't think it's her. I think it's Alara. It's also dual POV. Alara has her own POV as well, and Farron has hers. So I think the sapphic relationship is with Alara. I'm just assuming that. I hope that Farron might form a little relationship with her sister's best friend named Reeve. Now Reeve is a key component in here as well because he is the son of the Langlish leader, whoever. I think his last name is like Warwick, and he actually is considered a traitor in his own, in the other empire's empire. I don't know, because he switched sides, and so now he's on their side. And I really like the banter between them. It's kind of like enemies to lovers, even though it might not even be enemies. Maybe it could be rivals, but it feels one-sided. I don't think he hates her or doesn't like her. I think it's just her that doesn't like him. One thing about fantasy that just turns me off is that I have to turn my brain on. I can't just read the words off the page. I have to actually pay attention to what I'm reading so I can keep up, because if I miss even a line, I have to go back and read it again. Okay, can y'all see me? So I'm coming. If I look weird, it's because I'm not even looking in the camera. Maybe I should switch it. That might be better. Let's see if it stays. See, this is why I always travel with my camera. And which one is the camera? That's not it. Okay, that's the camera. I always travel with my camera. I didn't travel with it this time, but I wanted to update. I'm almost done. I'm at about 88%. I'm trying to get in the middle. It's heating up. It's not going to be a 5, even though the vibes that I'm getting right now is giving 5-star, but I got to think of the whole book. I think a 4.25 sounds about right. I mean, I'm still not done. I'm curious what the cliffhanger is going to be. I'm kind of edging myself a little bit because of where I stopped, because one of the characters just did something and I'm like, oh Lord, it's about to take off. I honestly, as I'm reading it, because I'm almost done, I wish the cover had both sisters, Farron and Alara. I'm assuming that's Farron. Going into it, I'm like, well, she's gonna be our main character, but honestly, it feels equal. I just don't know if this is beginner-friendly fantasy. It has dragons. The world building, it's good. It's just, I'm not comprehending everything. The good thing is that I understand the basics. I said that in the video where I mentioned the wild ones. It's in the video of reading books out of my comfort zone. when they tell these stories, the background information for certain things, it's like, I don't know why I can't imagine it. That's the hardest part, keeping up with it and imagining it or visualizing it in my head. I'm gonna give this a 4.25. It was good, it was exciting, it's fantasy. When I got towards, and everything that I've said in previous clips still stand, I got towards about the 80%. I don't know if I'd mentioned, but I had stopped at 80%. It was really good because it got really actiony. The problem is in fantasies, I get so excited when I read them that my eyes start moving faster than I'm kind of, you know, reading and comprehending, and it messes up my understanding of what's going on, so I had to slow down a lot. I get the gist of it, I got it, I enjoyed it. I'm excited for the second book. I like the ending. Of course it ends on a cliffhanger. I knew that going into it. I enjoyed the cliffhanger. I'm excited to see what she does in the second book. I just want to know when it comes out. I have 2 more books planned for this video. I don't even know how many I've read already. Next is going to be my YA option. I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just like a YA romance, which it's never really just a YA romance because all YA has some kind of coming of age, you know, kind of storyline or whatever. We Deserve Monuments. This is sapphic as well. I'm assuming it's not gonna be, I don't know, I just don't feel like it's gonna be as romancy as I think it is. That's why I picked it. Hi peeps, hi peeps. So I am back. I am done with We Deserve Monuments. I'm gonna give this a 4.5. I totally forgot. Let me check really quick. 4.5. I knew I was right. I do have notes with me. It's this one. Okay. First and foremost, I think this was the perfect book to choose for my YA portion of this video. It's exactly what I was expecting. It had a little bit of romance, you know, but it wasn't just romance. And the only reason I'm mentioning the romance is because when I see people talk about this book and promote it, but like on Goodreads, when I look at the reviews, they're always highlighting the romance aspect. And it's in there, but it's contemporary, you know, YA. The beginning and the second half of this are very distinct. The first half has a little bit of everything. It has your romance, it has, or like the formation of that romance, which starts out as a friendship, also with another girl as well, between Avery, Jade, and Simone. We also kind of see where the family stands at the moment, right? Because we learn that the mom has an estranged relationship with her mom, with Mama Letty. So we see what that all is in the first, but also kind of seeing how Avery feels because supposedly, well, not supposedly, Avery has met the grandma when she was like 5 or 7. But that's it, she doesn't remember. Kind of see how Avery is dealing with this new relationship, and yet this new relationship is gonna be ending soon because Mama Letty is dying. Whereas the second half was more emotional because we did see Avery get closer to Mama Letty, which I loved. Side note, Mama Letty has a nickname for Avery, and her nickname is Fish.
Fish, you heard me correctly.
When I tell you, I think we see the nickname at somewhere in the first half, like at the beginning when she goes, and when she says fish, every time she says that, I cackle. I'm like, Fish? And the reason why she named her, or nicknamed her Fish, is because you can't really see. Avery, you see that little, I can't touch it, like right there? Wait. That's a lip ring. And she was like, it's kind of like a, you know, hooking a fish. Whatever. I thought that was cute and funny. You know, we're just focused on other aspects of the book because we have, there's like a secret. It's a secret, kind of, not really. So we're not focusing much on the romance, on the friendship necessarily between all 3 girls, right? We're focusing on the heavier stuff. Now, I will say, I guess this is kind of a critique because that's why it's not a 5, but I did round it up to a 5. I don't think I ever said that. There are things in here that are said but not really said. And it's kind of like, it's not necessarily up for interpretation, like your own interpretation, because you're reading the scene and you're seeing what it is, but the way it's written, it's kind of like if you're not paying attention, you might miss it and you might misunderstand it. I probably sound like a nut. I didn't cry. I could have, but I didn't. My eyes kind of watered, but I held it in. Lastly, I will be reading one more book in this video. Don't have it yet. I have to go get it from the library tomorrow because I'm going to be returning all 3 of these books as well and getting that one. Hopefully I'll get 2 other ones too because it's being transferred. The last book that I will be reading is a thriller called Razorblade Tears. Have y'all heard of that? Yeah. I just realized I never gave an update for Razorblade Tears. So this is actually day 2 of reading this. I'm not quite at the halfway mark. I'm on page 140. I think the halfway mark of this is 159 and a half. Those of you living under a rock, this is about 2 men, Ike and Buddy, whose sons were married to each other. Ike is black, so his son Isaiah is black, and Buddy is white, so his son Derek is white. So it's an interracial relationship. And both dads weren't really 100% in support. I mean, if you're being honest, they weren't. However, a little too late to say that now you don't care, because both Isaiah and Derek were brutally pew-pewed. Both Buddy and Ike are teaming up to search who did it. They on a hunt to see who did it, because they end up finding out that the case has gone cold 2 months later and now it's considered inactive. Very fast-paced. And I'm saying that because that's how it's marketed. It's promoted as being fast-paced. You see in other people's reviews, they talk about it 100%. I mean, from beginning, you jump right in. And it's not too fast that it's like, whoa, like, what are we doing? It's like the perfect pacing. It's very graphic. I'm liking the relationship between Buddy and Ike. Now, mind you, they both have their issues, right? Because they weren't fully in support of their 2 sons being together. But I can see, you know, maybe a little change that might happen, a little character development with both of them. I'm going to continue reading. And this is the last book of this video, so yay. Hey, so casually, I'm going to give Razorblade Tears a 4.75. I'm not going to lie, when I got to the end of it, I was debating on a 5-star, but I don't know. I think there was just something off with the writing sometimes that just I didn't vibe with, that I didn't like. I enjoyed the book. I really did. It's fast-paced. It's action-packed. It's very graphic. And I was with it from jump, honestly. Let me look at my notes real quick. The one thing that I will say, I wish that they did I don't know if it's the author himself or whoever on his team that does this, like with the publisher. I wish they put more into the formatting. I don't know what that's called. I guess it's the formatting of it. Putting indentions where they need to be, because this is in 3rd person. And sometimes, but you know, even when it's in 3rd person, sometimes in a chapter, you'll still focus on one person, even though we're not reading it as as 1st person. And we would be in, oh, I think I bookmarked it. And what's crazy is I'm looking at it now, it does have indentions, but not where they need to be. So like, I can't read it. You can't tell, but you know, there's a little indention right there, and it's starting something new. But it would be like, we're reading about Buddy and Ike, whatever they're up to, and then within the same, like, Buddy and Ike did da-da-da-da-da. Now we're moving on to, I'll make up a name because I don't remember. Oh, his name was Grayson. There's a guy named Grayson in here that we get, like, his POV. It'll be like, this is just typing, right? Buddy and Ike on Tuesday went riding on a motorcycle. Period. Same line. Grayson is now eating shrimp or eating a grilled cheese sandwich. Like, we move on, and I'm like, wait, then I have to go back. This book reminds me of the 3 Taken movies that they have with Liam Neeson, and I think they now have 3 Equalizer movies. I was gonna say it's almost like Liam Neeson's character from Taken and Denzel Washington's character from Equalizer partnered up and in this one, but that's not true. Ike is the only person who gives off Denzel, whatever his character's name's vibes, and Liam's vibes in one, in Ike. Buddy is the comedic relief. Buddy is a nut. He would be like, let's say, again, I don't remember Liam Neeson's character's names or Denzel Washington's character's name, but it would be like Ike being played by Denzel, and then Buddy's character would be like someone like Kevin Hart, like a comedian. You know what I mean? I don't know no white comedians. I don't know any white comedians. Because Buddy's white. Buddy Lee. There's not a ton of comedy in here, a ton of humor, but the parts that are comedic, that are funny, it's coming from Buddy Lee, his one-liners or whatever. By the end, I was very sad. There was a time, in my opinion, because I haven't looked at the reviews yet, I think that there was a ton of character development within both of them because they both had things to work on, right? Because Ike is black and Buddy Lee is white. And I know that Ike would mention a couple of times or a bunch of times, you know, like Buddy Lee needing to correct himself on some of the comments, the racial comments that he would make and stuff. But then I'm thinking in my head, and what about you? And he would say the same thing. He would fix himself like, oh, I need to also work on, I guess, like his feelings towards the LGBTQIA plus community. It definitely played out like a movie in my head. Like, I feel like the pacing of it, it's almost like I was watching The Equalizer or Taken 1, 2, or 3. And that is it for today's video. I had a ton of fun filming it. I'm looking at my little sheet now and I can't believe I read 5 books in here. I read a YA, I read a thriller / mystery, I read a horror, I read a romance, and a fantasy. That is crazy. That's 2 more books than I normally read in videos. But I had fun. Hope you enjoyed and got some recs for yourself as well. I always try not to go too much in detail about them so I don't spoil anything. Comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Okay, let's do this thumbnail. I want room up top. Yeah, because I can always edit myself in the middle, so that's fine. That's it.